We are finally adding color. If I'm starting with a grayscale sketch like what we have here, I usually add an adjustment layer to set the overall color to the scene. Here I'm using color balance and I'm adding some cools to the dark side and the midground, and I'm just going to set some warm color to the light side. You don't have to use the color balance, you can use the curves tools as well. With the curves adjustment, you actually have a lot more control, so if you prefer the curves, go for it. Now, color is affected by its environment, and so the reason why we were working on lighting before color is because without light, there is no color. With this painting, we are working on a direct lighting scenario, but sometimes I do start with the diffuse lighting scenario, where the local colors of the objects are more true, and then I add the direct light on top. But just remember, when you do that, the value structure will also be affected when you change the lighting, so keep analyzing the values and how values are affected by lighting. So I'm just working on adding the sky. I'm actually adding some clouds. I know it's very hard to see, but that's what I'm imagining. Even with the sky, you have to treat it like an object, and there is a transition of values and color. So in terms of values, it's going to be darker towards us and it's going to be lighter as it recedes. Now it is a very desaturated color at the moment, but we'll be building it up slowly. Now color is basically these three things. It's the hue, saturation and value. I'm sure we all seen the color wheel, and you've probably heard about analogous color, complementary color, split complementary, and all the scientific terms and analysis on color. I actually don't use it much, and I actually don't know much about color theory. Obviously it doesn't hurt to know, but I actually prefer the emotional approach to color rather than a scientific and technical approach. Every time I paint, I pay attention to the color temperature, and this is basically your color relationships. This is more of a reactive approach to color than a fully calculated approach. With color temperature, it's just about understanding color by warm or cool. So the first thing is to understand the local color of the object, and then make adjustments to warm or cool. So for example, let's say we put down a green as a local color, but the lighting hitting it is warm, so the green needs to be warmed up. And so it will start to turn, and it should turn yellow-green rather than blue-green. I hope this is making sense. Now let's say this yellow-green color is surrounded with all the cool colors. Suddenly the yellow-green should look very rich and strong, and probably needs to be adjusted again by reducing the saturation. So there's a constant bouncing, but I'm basically reacting to what I see as I paint, just constantly analyzing the relationship between colors as I put down new colors. And like composition, There is no one solid rule in color, so play around to see what looks good to you. I am slowly adding color, I'm slowly building it up. Now if you want to learn more about color, you can look at Impressionist painters because they were one of the first to discover color temperature, and obviously Monet being the key player in the change. So look at his work as well. You can also look at references like photos and try guessing what colors they are by color picking in Photoshop. But the best way to learn color is from real life, because photos do have limited colors. If you have a chance, just walk outside and just focus on how color is affecting each other. You know, it's all about training your eyes. Now, one way I learned color was actually just by mixing paints. I didn't actually paint on canvas. I was just mixing colors. I walked outside, sat in the backyard and mixed colors. And I was trying to create colors I was seeing in front of me. And you can learn a lot just by doing that. One basic fact about color is, say you have a really warm background and you place a grey object in the scene. That grey will actually start to look cool. And vice versa, that same grey in a cool environment will make the grey look warm. One suggestion with color is try to avoid using fully saturated color everywhere, because this will make the image garish. You know, it's going to create mess and it's going to become hard to see. You don't want to create images that look really uncomfortable for your eyes. The truth is, most things in nature is actually not saturated, except for things like flowers, insects, human-made products. So keep testing to train your eyes and try not to assume too quickly. Just, take your time. Color is complex in some ways, and it can be scary at the start, but the important thing is to just put down that first color on the canvas. And when you do, it may not look good, but you can always fix it later, so don't stress too much about color. I think value is a lot more important than color. If you have the value structure right, just with some basic colors, it should look okay. Now in this section of adding color, I'm focusing on the light side of the image where colors are warm, and I'm also trying to define some of the shapes and form on the clouds, just very roughly. Now once the overall color is placed on the canvas, you can just pick the colors from your canvas rather than going up to the color slider or your color swatches if you have one. And if you're finding yourself going back and forth, unable to make the next move, sometimes being limited to certain colors to work with helps you to make the progress. Remember, we are not trying to put down every color on the canvas, so be selective and make it work with those limited colors. You'll be surprised what you can do with just a few colors. I've seen amazing paintings done in one color, but the value structure was really, really well designed and thought out. Now let's move to the next section.